And they lived in ticky-tacky little tacky-ticky houses. Although they're pretty.
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog number 225 for Monday, July the 19th, 2021, or 495th day of COVID. We're getting there. And you'll notice I didn't say anything about my hair because I got my hair cut. Yes, I got my hair cut. It was 104 days since my last haircut. I hope it's not that long again this time. Both long in time and long in length. So I'm really happy. I feel like 10 pounds lighter with this off, and Walter got his cut too. So we're all nicely groomed again, which is nice. Makes you feel a little more civilized, doesn't it? So what have I been working on this week? Well, behind me you see nothing. But that doesn't mean I don't have something to show you. I showed you last week one of the rows to the what's called the Jenny Lane quilt from Missouri Star. It has all the houses and things like that on it. Well, I got it all together. I got it all finished. The top, that is. I haven't got around to quilting it. That's the next thing. But instead of dragging it out here and trying to hang it up, because it did turn out to be a fairly large quilt. I think it's about 68 inches across and about 81 inches long, so that's a good size quilt. And right now it's hanging up in my sewing area, so I thought I would do a little short video about it. It's just a little easier than hanging it up here and having to take it down again. So I'm going to insert that video in here right now.
So this is the Jenny Lane quilt from Missouri Star Quilt that I have been working on, and I've talked about it before. And I have it all together now. The top is all together. This has not yet been layered or quilted, of course, as you can see. But I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. And even though my block measurements did not come out exactly as they were supposed to according to the instructions, I still think it turned out very, very nice. It is a large quilt. It's about 68 inches wide by 81 inches long. This is going to take some while to quilt, and I have to figure out what I want to do because I have an awful lot of negative space on here to fill in, not to mention each of the pieces of the houses as well. So, I mean, I could go simple and I could do walking foot quilting it as well, but I think what I'd like to try is maybe to do some things within each of the house blocks and then go from there. So we'll see how that turns out. But right now it looks really good, I think.
And of course I've been working on a few other things. I got thinking, you know, I really need a logo for the Idiot Quilter. And I wanted to do something that I could embroider out and maybe even eventually put onto, say, a shirt or something like that. So when I do my Idiot Quilter episodes, I would have, you know, makes it look more professional. But I went into Artistic Digitizer, which is my embroidery software, and I came up with a design and worked on it. Now these are not the final version yet. I still need to do some adjustment on the stitches, but here's a larger version of it. And then I did some adjustment there, and I did this version, which is a little smaller. And then I did this smaller version, which I think would look fine on a shirt pocket. Now they are only in about 3 colors. This one I have a slight problem with because my D did not get colored in properly, so I will have to adjust that, but I'm still working on it. I can do this in any colors that I want to do, but right now I was just playing around using silver, black, and sort of a navy blue, which looks a little bit more like black. Too many colors in it means making these is going to take forever, and the idea here is I want to be able to embroider off a bunch of these fairly quickly, so I'm going to limit the colors that are in it. But I'm really happy with myself in the way that I created this, because this is really the first original thing that I have created using Artistic Digitizer. Anything else I've done in Artistic Digitizer has been an alteration of an existing pattern or something like that. Very simple things. This is a little bit more complex. And as you do something like this, you learn. And that's what it's all about. So I did that, and what else do I have here? Better put my note. I have a whole bunch of notes that go with these logos, so I remember what the heck I did. And okay, what else do I have to show you? Oh yes, my Santa embroidery. Now you know that I'm making Christmas table toppers, and I was using the gnomes, but I'm making another set as well, and I haven't got that first set done yet, but I am making another set, but I'm going to be using a series of designs that sort of look like this. Now they're different ones. I call it Elegant Santa. I forget what it's called in the online place where I bought these, but I think it does look very nice. There is a little bit of applique in there. His beard and his jacket are pieces of fabric, and the star, but I think it's going to look really nice. And this is black Christmas fabric. Yes, black Christmas fabric. I know black is not a traditional Christmas color, but I wanted these to stand out, and I think they stand out better on black than on anything else. But the design in the fabric is very Christmassy as well. It's that silver kind of swirls thing. So when I put the other fabrics on it, and I'm going to show you what the other fabrics are in a few minutes, that I got, I think it's going to look very elegant. At least that's what I'm going for. Okay, that takes us to the YouTube channel of the week. Now this one is more for the techies out there. I use, when Walter and I do Stephen and Walter Live, we use a software program to connect us to YouTube called OBS. Everybody uses OBS. It's a very, very popular program. It's fairly sophisticated, and it's free, which is even better. And for a free program, it packs a lot of punch. In fact, there's a lot to learn, and you can work on it for days and weeks trying to learn all the ins and outs of OBS. I've learned certain things on a need-to-know basis, but I found this YouTube channel, which I think is a very popular YouTube channel by the looks of how many views this person gets and how many subscribers he has, and he seems to be very, very knowledgeable about how to use OBS. His videos are very, very professional, very straightforward, easy to follow. And he goes by the name Michael Feyer. I think that's how you say it. Michael Feyer Jr. And that's the name of his YouTube channel. So I thought I would review that channel this week. This week's YouTube channel is one for people who like to get into the technical aspects of producing videos or live broadcasts. It's by a gentleman named Michael Feyer Jr. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly. And he seems to be very knowledgeable about how to use a program called OBS. OBS is a free software program that allows people to create fairly sophisticated video productions on their computer. This is one that we use for Stephen and Walter Live, and I have learned quite a bit from his YouTube channel, showing me all the ins and outs of how to use this program effectively. So if you're into the technical aspects of video production, I strongly suggest you check out this YouTube channel. So you'll find the link for that YouTube channel in the show notes below. There's a link for the latest episode of The Idiot Quilter, episode 123. You will find a link to this past week's interview, very interesting interview with an Aussie. And you know how I love Australia? Well, this is Johan from Australia. And Johan actually makes stuffed bears. And they're really, really cool. So you'll want to check that interview out. There's also the next episode, episode 17 of So Chatty. And this is where we talk a little bit about what we feel makes a good quilt shop, either online or in physical reality. What we look for. And we're going to talk about our favorites that we go to time and time again. And yeah, so that's everything that's in the show notes below. So that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Well, here in Ontario, as of this past Friday, we went to step 3 of the reopening plan. I say plan in quotation marks because our government does not have a plan. They keep telling us they have a plan, but they don't. They make it up as they go along, and they don't make it up well. Well, they've had a lot of pressure put on them to move into this, what they call step 3 of reopening sooner, and they did 5 days earlier. Personally, I don't think they should have. I don't think we should be at this level rate at the moment. I think we're asking for trouble. However, who am I? I'm not in the government. I don't make the decisions. Sometimes I wish I did. But, so what does step 3 entail? Well, now we can have indoor dining. There's certain restrictions on that, but really not a lot. Mainly keeping the table 6 feet apart. And I don't know how many people you can have at a table. I know outside you could have the table 6 feet apart and you can have as many as 4 people at a table on a patio. But all those people were supposed to be living in the same household. Yeah, right. Check that out. They're taking contact information. Yeah, right. That works. So, yeah, and then they've opened up gyms. They've opened up clubs. Like clubs can have a maximum capacity of 250 people. Yeah, people are drinking. They're not worrying about their masks. They're not worrying about 6 feet apart in a club. No, that's not club culture. So yeah, there you go. And there's a bunch of other reopenings and things like that. Retail, all that kind of stuff. Okay, great. We're all biting at the chomp, aren't we, to get back to normal and the whole thing like that. But this past weekend, now the weather wasn't that nice where I live, but it's nice somewhere, and they're all just going hog wild. Piggies at the Trough. You think they haven't eaten in a year, because they're filling up the patios, they're filling up the restaurants indoors as well. Having a great time. I have to admit, there's a piece of me inside that would like to do that too. But I think it's still a little bit early. What's going to happen? Well, you get people all at a club, you get people all in restaurants, the whole bit. There are still variants out there. Not everybody has had 2 shots yet. We still have people, and it's slowing down, that haven't had the first shot yet. And I talked about that last week, which is just ridiculous. So I'm pretty much certain that the conditions are right, the perfect storm for the 4th wave to emerge, to rear its ugly head. I figure come about the middle of August, tail end of August, our numbers will have been going up again. Just in time for back to school in September, because yes, our government has a plan for that. Basically, open up the doors, let them go in. And they're little disease bags, those kids. Anyways, and the thing is, not all of the kids, 12 and up can get the shot now. But apparently that number is not really high, and under 12 can't get a shot at all yet. So they're all elementary school kids, and elementary school kids are even worse than high school kids when it comes to, dropping disease. So here we go again. And back to the restaurant. They're just in there just glamming the food and the booze, just going crazy. Piggies at the Trough, basically. Like, oh, poor us. We've been trapped inside for 16 months. Well, no, we haven't. Okay. There have been waves of when we could go back out under restrictions. I mean, last summer? We actually sat on a patio. Okay. All the restrictions in place. And I remember telling you about that and saying how weird I felt and how uncomfortable I felt at that point in time. Yeah, I get it. I want to do it too. And that's what's really scaring me is I feel the pull. I said to Walter yesterday, we should go somewhere this week. And he said, where? I said, anywhere. You know, I would just like to go out of my own city someplace else. But then what am I going to do when I get there? You know, I'll want to just come right back home, because that's all part of the anxiety I'm having with COVID. But I think it's a little early. I think our government got browbeat into this, and we have a gutless government at all levels. Municipal, provincial, federal, they're all gutless. And now, the latest thing is Trudeau, our Prime Minister, is feeling pressure to reopen the border. France have been nasty to us. They have threatened sanctions if we don't open up the border when they want us to open up the border, which I don't understand. Why does France want to come to Canada? Okay, we've got Quebec. Maybe they want to see their cousins, their Quebecois cousins. I don't know. And of course, there's pressure within our own country to open up the borders again because they want the tourism dollars. And of course, Niagara Falls in Ontario, which is only 2 hours away from me, they're right on the border, and they want the government to open up the border because they want the tourist dollars. They want the American dollars to come in. As I've said before, and as I think most of us who have a brain realize, this whole disease thing has been greatly influenced by the world of capitalism. Money talks. Big business talks. Yeah, big business has no soul. All that big business is interested in is making as much money as they possibly can. And the hell with people. So these restaurants, getting back to the Piggies, these restaurants, of course, have their arms wide open welcoming in the customers. Yes, I get it. They've been suffering. They need the money to keep going. Business isn't in business for our health. It's in for a healthy bottom line, right? Yeah, I get it. It's, you know, a rock in a hard place, really. But do they want to be shut down again come September for a much longer time? Make your money now, I guess, kind of a thing. So I think people are stupid. I have said that many times. Get over your poor little sad sack self. You know, oh, I haven't been able to go out for quite some time. Oh, I want to see my friends. Oh, I want to socialize. Oh, I want to shop. Oh, screw it. I guess in times of crisis, like we've been going through for the last 16 months, does not bring out the best in people. It brings out the selfishness. So the Piggies at the Trough, I hope you're enjoying it, because I don't think it's going to last. And I hope I'm absolutely and completely wrong. Okay, so what have I got to show you this week? Well, I got some fabric. There may be a pandemic, but it doesn't stop me from ordering online. And I think I will continue to do this for all of time as well. So I needed some black Christmas fabric for this, right? So I went on to Peachtree, one of my favorites, and I got some black fabric, 2 meters of it. But while I was there, and they were having a sale, I think it was 30% off on seasonal fabrics, and $5 shipping anywhere in Canada. So, you know, I'm a sucker for free or cheap shipping. Gets me every time. So I bought some other stuff. Now, I did get a call from them telling me that the original black one was not this that I ordered. It was out of stock, but they recommended another one. And wow, I'm glad it was out of stock, because I like this one better and I missed it. And in fact, the ironic part is, I though saw the same fabric in a red color wave, same pattern except in gold on red. And yeah, these two go together very nicely. And then I got a couple of blenders. Now, actually, these fabrics I have had before. I bought last Christmas as well. But I do like them because they go with so much. So I bought all that, and just because I could, I bought 2 charm packs, both the same, but they were a good price, of winter white. I don't know why they call it winter white, because there's only a few that are in white. The rest are, you know, darker colors. But anyways, I have that. So I'm pretty good for Christmas fabric this year. In fact, I had a lot of Christmas fabric left over from last year, but you know, I like Christmas fabrics. They're fun. So I bought those. And what else did I buy? Oh, I got a new book. Now, I was listening to something. It was one of my podcasts, one of the quilting podcasts, and they were talking about this lady who's been around for 100 years, I guess, Marty Michel, who does what they call Quilt as you go. Well, I've tried Quilt as you go. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but you know, I'd like to be able to use my embroidery machine more for quilting too. But she has something called machine quilting in sections, where essentially she shows you how to take a quilt you're working on and divide it into smaller sections, basically little crib-size quilts that you can easily quilt on your domestic sewing machine, and then she shows you a method for putting all those sections together for the overall quilt, and that intrigued me. So I did some more research and I found her book, and it just came yesterday from Amazon, and so I haven't even read it or looked at it yet. So that's one of my next plans, is to go through this book and possibly try her method, because that would make life a lot easier when it comes to quilting on a domestic machine when you've got a large quilt, if you can divide it up into sections. I'm curious about how you join it, the sections together, because you have raw edges, but I know in this book she addresses that issue. So I got that, and I have a new toy. Watch this. No, I'm not hypnotizing you. This is a remote control for my iPad, and it works with my iPhone. Now, when I'm doing something like this, as you probably know because I've mentioned it before, I record this on my iPad. I don't use, I have several methods for the way that I record whatever the video happens to be, but for the vlogs I use my iPad. And you've probably seen me do this in some of my videos. Okay, bringing up the finger to press the stop button when I want to insert a previously recorded video clip. Well, with one of these, I can turn it on and turn it off just down here. You don't even see me doing anything. I had something like this that I used with my iPhone. Usually when I do the Idiot Quilters, I use the iPhone. And it worked fine until about a week or so ago, and it just died on me. And I tried everything to get it to work, and it just died. So I went on to Amazon to see if I could get a new one. And I could. So I ordered a new one because it worked fine when it worked. But then I thought, I wonder if there's any other ones out there. And there are. This one. And it has a name on it, which I can barely read. Hogarcaucus or something like that. Don't know. It was not expensive. In fact, I got a 2-pack, 2 of these for $13.99, okay, Canadian, which isn't bad. And I got them pretty quick. Now, I figured I'd have to download an app to use them and all that kind of thing, because with the other one that I was using, I had to do that. No, do not. I just turned on the Bluetooth, because these are Bluetooth, onto the iPad. It paired it right up, and away we go. Works like a charm. And it also works with my iPhone. So now I have 3 remote controls. I don't need 3, but I have 3. Actually, I have 4. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, why I have 4. But anyways, this works really well. So that's a good purchase. All right, what am I going to talk about now in terms of purchases? Well, you know that last week it was my birthday. And I think I mentioned to you that Walter had been very mysterious for the month before my birthday or so. I knew he had gotten me something, and he was keeping it a tightly guarded secret, although I could see he was bursting at the seams to tell me what he got me. But he knows the rules. On Christmas and on my birthday, I like to get my gifts on the day of those events. I don't want to get them in advance. I don't want to get them after. I want them on that day. I know, picky. But just because those 2 days of the year are special days. So he finally gave me my birthday on Wednesday. And what did he get me? One of these. I have an iWatch. Yes. Now, did I want an iWatch? No. What I mean by that is I wasn't going out to buy one on purpose. We had talked about it before several times, but the problem with the iWatch, at least in my mind at the time, was that you have to have your phone with you to use the iWatch because it's basically tethered to your phone. And I was thinking, well, what's the point then? Really, if this is not self-contained, if I can't leave the house without my phone and use this like the phone, then why? That was my feeling. That was my thought. That was before I got one. Now, Walter's wanted one for a while. So 3 weeks ago, he ordered two. One for himself, one for me. But he couldn't use his until he gave me mine, because as soon as I saw that he had an iWatch, I'd be going, well, I want one too. I want one too. And I would have ordered one. And he knew that about me. So he kept it under wraps for 3 weeks. And you want to know something? I take back everything I said about not having an iWatch. I absolutely love this thing. Why, you may ask? Well, first of all, I could use a new watch, and this one is really easy to see the time and everything like that. You can adjust the faces. I was trying different ones. This is the one I've settled on right now, but I may change that in another time. But it's got things on it that I didn't realize. Like, yes, I have to have my iPhone on all the time when I'm using this, pretty much. But it tells me, it gives me warnings when something comes up as a message on my phone, which actually isn't bad because usually it sits in my pocket. And if something comes up in that, I have to yank it out of my pocket, see whether or not it's worth dealing with it, with whatever has come up as a message at that point in time. With this, it comes up, I look, oh yeah, okay, fine. No problem. It has a couple of things, though I didn't know that it had. It has a walkie-talkie built into it. Yes, it's Dick Tracy. Finally, we have a Dick Tracy thing. And those of you of a certain age know what I'm talking about. So I can push the little walkie-talkie button on this and connect to somebody else who has an iWatch, like Walter. And it works as long as he's got his phone on him, where I have my phone on me, wherever we are. If we have a Wi-Fi signal or whatever, it will connect. The range is really good. Now, we haven't tested that out completely, but for example, he was in the backyard the other day pulling up crabgrass, because that's his new hobby. And I was sitting in the house upstairs. I pushed the button. I could talk to him instantly like that. Now, you're going to say, yeah, but you could have called him. Well, no. Yeah, I could have called him, but why? This was faster. I just hold it down and go, what are you doing? And I just think it's cool. It's like Dick Tracy. Hello, Mumbles. Mumbles, are you there? Okay. Again, if you're of a certain age, you know what I'm talking about. But there's a lot of other features on it too. So I think it's really, really cool. And I feel like I've stepped into the 21st century with this technology. I mean, I see people all the time doing YouTube videos, and they all have iWatches. Got a lot of money, or things are a lot cheaper in the States because most of them are Americans with it. Walter loves it too because now he has a Mac computer, and apparently to unlock his Mac he can just do it from his phone. It's easier than what he usually has to do. So, but I mentioned earlier that I bought new remotes. Guess what? I can control my iPad or my iPhone from this. It has a little button on it, and I can turn it on and turn it off or whatever just from here as well. So I don't even need one of these. Wish I'd known that before I spent the money on these, although I didn't spend that much money. So anyways, but it's cool. It's really cool. Did I tell you it was cool? Yeah, it's cool. I'm like a kid in a toy store again, but I love electronics. I love high-tech toys, obviously. So, yep, I love it. I love it. Now, of course, once he gave me that, I said, so when are we going to get new iPhones? We have iPhone 10s. They have the 12s out. It's expensive because we buy them outright. We don't buy them on a package or a time thing. We buy unlocked phones directly from the source, from Apple. And I love my iPhone. But, you know, $2,000 probably to buy a new one. Quilter says they're coming out with a new one in the fall. He's waiting till then. So probably in the fall we will buy new iPhones. Better save my pennies now for that, because I don't think he'll be buying me a new iPhone. Okay, but anyways, yeah, perfect gift. Walter always knows what to buy. He does, you know. Okay, so what else? Well, let's turn our attention to the 3D corner, and a couple of things to show you. So I've been working on my gnome pin cushions. Here's one version of it. This is called Zen Gnome. He's sitting there, I don't know if you can tell, he's sitting there and he's, you know, in the lotus position or whatever they call it. And I put the pad in and everything, and it makes a really nice little pin cushion. But I also got a little bit more elaborate, and I've created this version, which has one of my famous little thimbles that you've seen before as the pin cushion, adhered to the base of this. But now what you have, and my idea is, this sits on your sewing table. You got your pins, and you can have clips in here or whatever, things that you reach for quite a bit, little things. And so that's kind of cool. So I have all these pin cushions now. I know the ones that I like the best. Now it's probably getting time to starting to print them off, because they take a while. This big one takes about 15 hours to print, and this one took only about 12 or 13 hours only. So, you know, these are things that you can't produce a whole bunch of them in a day. It takes weeks. So I should get started on that soon. But in the meantime, I have a new fascination with a 3D printer. And I showed you part of this last week, but it wasn't really together, but it is now. And that's Tudor houses. So this is the first one I made. Now, it's done in a wood-colored filament, but I want to paint it. That's a scary thing, because it takes me back to my days as a little kid when I used to make airplane and car models and get to the painting stage of it, and it was a mess. I really suck at that kind of thing. So, but I really need to attempt that. So, yeah, I want to make the stonework that's printed in here look like stone and that kind of thing. So we'll see. But I'm making a lot of these. I have downloaded a lot of what are called models to print out. And you can hear in the background my printer is going, because it's making this bigger one. This one is in 3 pieces. It's another Tudor house, and there's a piece, oops, I'm caught on my microphone, another piece that goes on top of that, and now it's working on the roof, and that goes on top of that. It's definitely a bigger piece than this one, but these are all scaled to a certain ratio, so they all fit together. Again, I will have to paint this. Now I downloaded a set of pieces, actually. You print out various pieces to make your own Tudor houses and different things in different sizes. I'm not absolutely sure how that works yet. I have to explore it further, but that'll be next. So I have to paint them. That'll take some time and to do, and it might be a nice diversion from, you know, sewing, because I spend most of my day sewing. And I have to admit, sometimes you get exhausted with the sewing. I mean, I've got 2 quilts right now that need to be layered and quilted, and after I finish the vlog today, I'm going to take one of them, the one with the outhouses on it that I've shown you a few weeks ago. That one I'm going to quilt first, so I have to get it all layered. I'm still waiting for my batting from Dinky Doo. It is on its way. I'm supposed to get it this week. Yay. So, yeah, this is a bit of a diversion for me. Okay, so one other thing for 3D Corner. For those of you that are geeks like me when it comes to 3D printing, just discovered a brand new free app that you can get from the Apple Store, and I believe you can get it from the Google Play Store. I saw this on one of the YouTube videos that I watch about 3D printing, and it's cool. It's called Filament Left. If you go into the apps store and just put in the word filament and the word left, you will find it. And basically what it is, it's it's a program, I think it's still under development, that someone's designed that will help you to figure out roughly how much filament you have left on a reel. And that's important because, you know, you're getting near the end of one of your projects that you've been printing for 2 days and suddenly you run out of filament. So it would be nice to be able to figure out approximately how much filament you have left so that doesn't happen. So this program allows you to do it. You put in certain measurements in millimeters for the diameter of your spool and the width of the spool, and it's got a little experimental feature in it where you can take a picture of the spool, and based on the basic information you put in about the overall size of the spool, it will guesstimate for you how much filament is left. So I'm still playing with it. I just downloaded it the other day, and so far I'm kind of impressed with it. Yes, is it accurate? No, it's not, but it gives you a ballpark figure, so it gives you an idea. Now, when you slice a model, slicing a model is where you basically, it goes into a program and it figures out all the layers it need to print, because that's how a 3D printer works. Prints one layer on top of another layer on top of another layer, and usually there's a lot of layers. It will tell you when you put it through that program on your computer how much filament it's going to use. So if it says it's going to use 49.5 meters of filament and you use this filament left app on a reel that you've already started and it says you've only got about 29 meters left, you know, better not take a chance on that one. So yeah, I think that's a really cool app. So if you're interested, go to your app store, it's free, and just put in the words filament left and play with it. Okay, so that takes us on to a blast from the past, and that's using the art form foamies, and I believe this is my last installment of this, I think. That means I got to find another project to show you. Well, I'll worry about that next week.
Stamps that I used, and I did pretty much the same process as I did with the other stamps, except on the feather one, first thing I did was I tried it in one solid color so you can see the yellow ones, and then I added to part of it the red, and I added a little bit more yellow near the bottom, just smeared them together so I got sort of a gradient into orange, and just applied this all over, and I used those little dropout pieces again to create the triangles, which these in themselves are a lot of fun. So that's that one, and then on this one, instead of doing so much a gradient, I used 3 different colors and I applied them to the various leaves and just sort of smoothed them over, and I wasn't that careful with it. I let them run into each other and I got this effect. So this has been a lot of fun, and by the way, here's my piece of palette paper that I wasn't really using for paint. I've been using it now for stamping off, and this in itself is going to become something, I'm sure. Okay, now I've been showing you how to use these with acrylic paints, and I think that was what they were chiefly designed for. But my experience with putting stays on to stamp the image onto the Stamp Buddy seemed to work pretty well. So I have some more stays on over here, just slightly off camera. Stays on comes in different colors, by the way, if you didn't know that, and you can get them in large pads or small pads. So I bought a set of about 10 of these different colors. And what I'm going to use those as the stamp, as my stamp pad, and I'm going to use the foamies just like a regular stamp. Now the reason I'm using stays on is because this is a deli paper with the shiny side, so if I use a non-permanent ink, when I put these in my art journal, if I rip them up and I use any other liquidy kinds of products, they're going to run. Acrylic paint does not run once it's dry, so I don't have to worry about that. But with the inks, I do worry about that, so I'm going to use stays on. And I'm going to grab this one, right now a little texture one, and I don't know what color I should use. I use greens and browns, so maybe I'll use, this is called St. Valentine's, so probably a red. And I'm just going to dab it on just like you would on any kind of stamp pad. And we'll see what we get. So here I'm not being particular about where it's going. Actually, I'm getting good coverage with this. Okay, that's kind of fun. So this is stays on, so I don't think I need to worry about trying to wipe it off. Maybe I'll just stamp off a little bit more over here on my palette paper. It's getting kind of covered. Okay, so I've got that, and let's see. Let's go back to this one that I used before, and let's see what another. Let's try a different shade of green. This is called Cactus Green. Let's see what that's like. Some of these I haven't even used yet, and I've had them for quite a while. But if you know me, if one is good, the whole set is great, is my philosophy. So, ooh, that's kind of pretty. Let's do some stamping off. When I get these done, I may not want to cut them up and use in my journal pages. I may just want to frame them. So I'm getting some ghosting here, and that's fine. Stamp off what's left over here. Okay, well that's pretty neat. Alright, I'm going to leave that one for a moment. And let's take the feathers in reds. So let's use this one again, and let's do blue. And as I said, you could use any ink pads for this. It depends on what you're going to do with this afterwards. Okay. So you get the idea here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other stamps on some of the other prints, and I'll show you at the end result. So I have finished putting on more layers here, and this time I used the Stays On ink, so I'll show you the end product. So you can see here, this was my original. The flowers were in the acrylic, the little circles. Those are in Stays On ink. On this one, the flowers are in acrylic, but the bird is in Stays On ink. The flowers here are in Stays On. The leaves are in Stays On. And the feathers are in Stays On here as well. And you'll notice that in some parts I don't have a complete feather. I just have a tip of it. I took my stamp and bent it up. Let me show you what I mean. I only took part of the stamp and I just kind of touched it just here and there, that part of it, so you can do partial stamping with them too, and that works really well. And these are so flexible that that's really easy to do. In this one, the leaves in blues and purples are acrylic ink, but then I use sort of a light colored browny sort of orange in the Stays On using the other leaf shape. This one, I use the what did I use on this one? I forgot what I used. The acrylic paint is the bird. The birds are in the acrylic paint, and the leaf shape is in the Stays On. And I tried to variegate the Stays On that one. And in this one, the flowers are just in one color of Stays On. And the same with this. Actually, I put 2 layers on this one. I used the circles. It's the one I started with. They showed you before. And I used the flower as well. So I know it works well with ink pads as well as acrylic paint. My next test is to see what we're going to get if I use spray inks. So I'm going to use Delusions. I'm using Delusions because I like the colors are very bold on these. Now, problem with Delusions is these are water soluble, so they will be reactivated if I get them wet. But to get around that problem, if I use them on a mixed media page, I'll just have to spray it with workable fixative before I put another layer down, and that'll solve that problem. So to apply the ink, I think I'm going to use this. I'm going to do I think the same thing on each one. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm going to use my little cutout pieces here that came out of the the other. And I think I'll use this as my stamp pad. So I'm just going to add some color to this. Don't get quite as sharp an image, but that's okay. So I'm just filling in a few of the white spaces on that. And I'm going to call that piece done. Now, put that aside. Take this one, and I'm going to change my color. I'm going to spray this with yellow. I'm not going to clean this up. It should give me green. And that's exactly what it's given me. Now it is sort of beating up. That's okay. That's another effect. And it's also beating up because I'm using the shiny side of the deli paper, and that's probably acting as a little bit of a resist. This one I've already done enough triangles. I think we'll leave that one. Let's see if I find one here. Maybe just throw red in here. Oops. Let's try this one. Trying to overlap my shapes too here. Okay, enough of that. I think this one needs a bit. Ooh, that's pretty wet. So let's just carry on with the color I have on here. Now I'm kind of pushing hard on this to purposely make it bleed. Give it a little bit of texture. Okay, enough of that. And do I want to add a little to this? Yeah, I think I do. Okay, do I dare mix another color in this? Let's give it a shot of green. I don't know, this maybe I'm getting probably kind of muddy here. In fact, I know I'm getting kind of muddy, but let's try it and see what happens. Yeah, this is giving me sort of a brown, but actually kind of goes with this, so something a little different. But now I know this pad has got too many colors on it, so if I put any more on it, it's going to come out really dark and brown, and I don't want that. Okay, that's all I'm going to do with that. And I'm just going to leave the rest. Leave the rest as they are. So let's just do a quickie review here. So these are called art foamies, and they work very well with acrylic paint, as you can tell, and you can do a gradient effect or a solid color, and you get a lot of mileage out of your acrylic paint with that. Then you can also use them with regular stamp pads, and again, you can do a gradient, you can do isolated parts of it in different colors, whatever you like. And it'll also work with the spray inks too. So it works with all those mediums very, very well. It says on the package it's good on paper, it's good on all surfaces basically. It just depends on the kind of paint or medium that you're using. So you can do this on material as well. So that's great. Clean up. Wipe them down with a baby wipe or put them under the tap. Make sure you wash out the inks in your stamp buddy so they won't go hard. And yeah, so overall, I give this product a 10 out of 10. I really like it, and I think it's going to do amazing things in my art journals. And I can also see applications for this in card making and in scrapbooking. So it's a product that's relatively inexpensive. As I said, they range in price, the ones that I bought, from about $8.99 to about $14.99, so that's not bad. And there's a lot of them to choose from, so I think I'm going to go online. I'm going to order a few more of these. So anyways, if you have any comments, you can leave them below, and I hope this turns you on to a new and very nice tool. And above all, it's Canadian too. Woo! Okay, until next time, bye-bye.
So that takes us to events in the past week. Well, of course, I had my birthday. Come to that in a second. Update on my mother. We might be going, my sister and I, we may be actually in a week's time going over to actually physically see her. Of course, I still make the FaceTime calls. Now, the reason I say we might is, well, we know what the requirements are now. Apparently, we have to show proof that we've had the vaccines. Otherwise, they will do us a quickie test in there, and then we go in. I'm assuming we still have to wear our masks and things like that, but we can actually go into her room. And I'm really interested in that because I want to check that room out. I've only been able to see it virtually, and that hasn't really given me a really good overview of what the room is like. And my sister and I are going to take some things over to decorate the room, check out with my mother what it is that she would like the room, you know, what else we can do to make it more homely. I mean homey for her, not homely. And all of that, because after all, it is her home. So, you know, you want things up on the walls. I mean, she's got a few things up on the walls that came over from her old place. Took me forever to get them to put that up. But, you know, I'm actually thinking, I'm wondering if there's a wall in there big enough that I could make a small quilt for her, like a wall quilt, and hang it up. But these are all things I want to check out, and of course talk to my mother about what she would like. Now, I have a feeling my mother doesn't care. I think it's more me than my mother when it comes to stuff like that. But nevertheless, I want her to be comfortable. And I think we'll take her over some candy. We shouldn't, but you know, she's almost 81 years old. What the heck, let her eat candy and then throw up. But anyways, so yeah. Now, we could go over this week, but I want to talk to her first about it. And I'll have a FaceTime call with her scheduled for tomorrow, as I always do. But then I got thinking, when she was in the old home, pre-COVID days, I would go once a week. And my sister would too. To be honest, I don't want to do that. And here's why. And you may think I'm a selfish asshole, but there is nothing to talk to my mother about. I find it hard enough to carry on a conversation with her once a week by FaceTime. Because when I ask her what's new, I get the same answer, nothing. And that's it. So basically, I babble on for about 10 minutes about what I've been doing. It's all about me. Yeah. And with FaceTime, I'm on there for maybe 10 minutes or so, and when I've exhausted everything to tell her, then I say goodbye. If I went in for a visit, I just can't go in there. I know the conversation is going to be exhausted within 5 minutes. Well, say to her, well, it's been nice, Mom, bye-bye, and leave. You know, I want to spend a little bit more time with her. I don't want to, like, drop and run kind of a thing in there. So I was thinking, how can I do this? What I do have to think about myself on this too, okay? I know, again, that may sound selfish, but I think most of you that have aging parents and maybe have parents in nursing homes, you know what I mean. So I said to my sister, why don't we do this? On our first visit to Mom in the new place, we'll both go together. But then what we'll do is we'll alternate weeks. I will go 1 week, she'll go the next. I will go the week after, she will go the next. In the meantime, between visits for me, I will continue to do FaceTime. So in a sense, I'll be touching base with my mother every week, but I just won't be going to the nursing home physically every week. Be every other week. I think I can handle that. Now, if I need to go more frequent than that for some reason or another, yeah, sure, it's not a problem. I will. But I just think that will keep things a little bit more interesting for both my mother and for myself. And I can work that into my schedule a little bit better as well. That's the plan. My sister seemed to agree to that too. She thought that was okay. So we'll see. And I'll talk to my mother about all of that tomorrow. Because I tell my mother everything. I don't hold anything back from her at all. It's her life. She needs to know. Okay. So, what else? Oh yes, I talked about her haircuts. Now I can't get another haircut for 4 weeks, which isn't really a problem because she cuts my hair short enough that I'll be fine. But I am used to going every 3 weeks. My hairdresser likes to book your appointments well in advance, which is fine by me. But of course, she's trying to do catch up. Everybody wants their hair cut and done, and she does primarily, most of her clientele are female. And so I made a little joke and kind of backfired on me. There was another lady getting her hair done by one of the other hairdressers in the salon. And while I was booking my next appointments, and my hairdresser said to me, okay, I can't get you in until 4 weeks with that. And I kind of said, yeah, the women all come first, don't they? But but I understand that because there's a hell of a lot more work you've got to do on a woman than you do on a man. Now, what I meant was women's hair is more complicated. They probably want a color job. They probably want some kind of perm or set. I don't know. Do women get perms anymore? I don't know. Whatever. It takes more time to do a woman's hair than it does for a man. This took 10 minutes, including the shampooing and everything. So I get that. That's what I meant. But the way it came out was like, well, you just heard it. So I had to backtrack on that comment a little bit, like open wide, put both feet in kind of a thing. But it is that way. I know that. This is, and I get it, but sometimes it irks me a little bit that you get put on the back burner because you're a man. Oh, I know. Women are probably saying out there, well, men have been doing this to women for centuries. So, you know, it's your turn. Okay, whatever. Talk to the hand. Okay, so anyways, got it cut. And that's fine. I already talked a little bit about my birthday with the iPhone. Did I mention that I got an iPhone? Anyways, yeah, it was a nice day. Spent half of it playing with the iPhone. And Walter cooked dinner. And he asked me what I wanted. I mean, Walter cooks most of the time. But one of his dishes that I really like, which is, well, basically simple. Well, simple for me because I'm not cooking it. He does. Is an Italian dish. Now, my birthday fell on a Wednesday, and Wednesdays, as you've heard me talk before, are Avante Wednesday, where we have Italian dinners. And he makes a really good bolognese sauce. Now, bolognese is just a meat sauce. At least that's what I used to think. When I saw it on a menu in a restaurant, I would never order something like that. Because, you know, it's spaghetti with bolognese. And I just figured, yeah, it's spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm going to pay $17.99 or $18.99 for spaghetti. I can have that at home. Well, I was wrong about the bolognese because the recipe that he has some ingredients like milk or cream. Go figure on a tomato sauce. Didn't think of that. And it's really good. Now, Walter has doctored the recipe that he uses, as he often does, and it's really good. And in combination with that, the bolognese, he puts on homemade pasta. He makes the pasta, and it's pepperelli. I don't know why I have trouble with that word. It's not a complicated word, but they're wide noodles, basically, pasta noodles. And it's just that combination of those two I really, really like. It's one of my favorite Italian dishes now. So he made that for me with, garlic bread and whatnot. And we had a couple of bottles of wine, and we sat out under the deck, and it was nice. It was a nice time. I really enjoyed it. We did have birthday cake, sort of. We bought a carrot cake about 5 days before. That carrot cake never rots. And had that in the fridge and had some of that. That was a little bit of a letdown, the carrot cake, but that's okay. I'm not a cake person anyways. I'm more into pie. I could have got Walter if I pushed him to make me a birthday pie. But, he was already making all of this. And this particular dish does take some time because he's making fresh pasta to make. So didn't want to push the issue, but it was very, very nice. Oh, yeah, we had a bottle of champagne. Well, faux champagne, sparkling white wine. I mean, apparently you can't call champagne champagne unless it comes from the Champagne district of France. So they say, who cares? So we had that too. So it was a really nice birthday. It was a really nice evening. He gave me a funny birthday card that he made himself. Okay. Well, printed it off the internet. But I mean, that's okay. And I only got one other card, and that was from my sister. But you want to know something? That's okay, because I got a lot of people sent me nice birthday wishes via Facebook, and that's the new electronic card, isn't it? That's what I do too. I don't go out and buy birthday cards for people because, well, if you want to get a nice birthday card that doesn't come from the dollar store, it costs you like $5 for a card. It costs you another buck here in my country to mail it. And the person looks at it, maybe puts it on display for a couple of days, and then it goes in the garbage. So, electronics the way to go. And that's what I do too. So that's fine. But I appreciated all the nice birthday wishes that people sent to me on that day. So I had a good birthday. And I've got a little insert here to show you my birthday dinner. So I'm going to put that in here right now. I'm going to do it with this.
So this is my birthday dinner tonight, all prepared by Walter. We have a bottle of cheap champagne. It's sparkling wine, but we're calling it champagne. And what did he make? Well, one of my favorite dishes. He made pasta from scratch. This is bolognese sauce and on homemade noodles, and the noodles are called what? I can never say it.
Pappardelle.
Pappardelle. I don't know why I have trouble with that. And also homemade garlic bread as well. And what's the grated stuff?
Parmesan and Assaggio.
Oh, Assaggio. Oh, we had Assaggio?
Yeah.
Ooh, so it looks very, very good.
Or Asiago.
Asiago, whatever it is. So, anyways, happy birthday to me.
And Walter cooked again this week on Saturday night, I think. He made shish kebab. We have a lot of meat in our freezers in here. We collect meat. Well, we don't. But Walter loves to look through the sales flyers every week and sees that like such and such a grocery store has beef tenderloin on for this price or whatever. So we stock up, we freeze it and everything. So we have a lot of that in our freezer. So Walter decided to make shish kebabs, and he did. And had vegetables and things like that with it. And we don't have any peppers in our garden. We didn't grow any. But we do have tomatoes, and our tomatoes are coming on now, and they're so good. They're grape tomatoes, and they have flavor. The ones you buy at the grocery store, and we buy them all the time at the grocery store throughout the year, just don't have any taste whatsoever. I thought I was losing my taste buds. I'm not. it's just the way food is in our grocery stores these days. So having our little container garden has really been great. We've eaten a lot more salads than we usually do. I'm going to miss it when, you know, the growing season is over. I wish there was a way I could bring a lot of this stuff into the house and continue to grow it, but there probably are ways to do it, but it's very involved and we don't have the space for that. But anyways, Saturday night dinner was fantastic, and so I thought I'd show you on a Wally Cooks what he did, and also at the same time show you, since he was barbecuing it outside, show you our deck and our container garden and our horrible backyard.
So this week on Wally Cooks, he's got meat on a stick. So what is this that you're making?
And I put all the vegetables on separate sticks because the vegetables usually get done first. So
let's just take a look at your vegetables on a stick. So we have what? Peppers and mushrooms and onions, and all those tomatoes are from our garden. And they're looking delicious, absolutely delicious. And now you are
skewering my meat and trying to get all of it on there. And I'm leaving spaces between it so that it cooks a little better all around.
And what kind of meat is this?
It's beef tenderloin.
Oh, I thought it was roadkill.
And it has a teriyaki.
A teriyaki.
A teriyaki
Marinade.
Marinade on.
Marinade, which was in there. And I noticed you pulled the recipe from the little green box, which means it's my recipe for teriyaki marinade.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised you're using one of mine.
Why?
Because you never use anything that's mine.
You pointed it out to me last time I used the bottled stuff, and it wasn't any good.
No, that's right. That's why it was my recipe. So now Walter has the veggies on the barbecue, and we were just debating whether or not we should have brushed them with oil or not, or anything, but I think we're just going to dry roast them. And there's the meat coming out on the stick. Everybody loves meat on a stick. Are you going to put anything on those? Like sauce or...
They've got teriyaki.
Oh, you got teriyaki, that's right. You marinate them in the teriyaki sauce, so yes. Of course, you might want to brush them with a little bit of the marinade. I don't know.
I might.
Or maybe not. Whatever. Well, that's the way to do that. And those are our beautiful tomatoes from our tomato plant. And those came right over here. And you see there's a few more on this. They're coming on quite strong right now. And we have a pile more over here. These ones are a little later. They're green right at the moment. But there's going to be quite a few of those. And apparently I just found out that Walter also planted a few down here in the backyard in that corner. Don't look at the yard too closely. It's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. So yeah, that's what we call the chipmunk tomatoes, because last year we had all the tomato plants down on this level, and the chipmunks raided some of them, and the ones on the low-hanging branches, they took a bite out of it and then discarded it. Little greedy buggers. But the garden does look really nice right now. It's a shame when this is the second half of July, and then August, and then all of this will die. Okay, we just had a little oops. We put these on wooden skewers, but the wooden skewers are actually catching on fire. Now, they were soaked for quite a while in water. That's what they say to do. But we do have metal skewers, so Walter's gone inside to transfer these over to the metal skewers. Okay, just as a little aside, while we're waiting for things to cook on the barbecue, this is our backyard, okay? Not too exciting. We haven't done anything with it in 26 years. Walter has been out trying to pull up the crabgrass, and he did seed it this year, but you can see. But then, next door, yeah, I feel sorry that they have to look into our backyard. But it makes theirs look even better, doesn't it? And this is our forest right behind us, which is always very nice. They also have a bird feeder right there, and it attracts all kinds of birds. And we have a lot of birds. We have cardinals, we have blue jays, we have
goldfinches, chickadees, everything.
Mourning doves. There's all kinds. There's quite a variety of birds that hang out here. And you can see they kind of fight over the bird feeder as well. And this is our barbecue. Walter's very proud of this barbecue because about a year or so ago he got it for a ridiculously low price. He thinks it was priced wrong. It was on sale. And it is a nice barbecue. Do we use it a lot? Not really. But I think this is about the third time we've used it this season. So here's the final result. And it's very, very good. The steaks taste really good. Or the, what is this meat that we're eating? It's
beef tenderloin.
Beef tenderloin, yeah. This mound here was actually from another night, and we froze it. It's potatoes Romanoff. It looks a little gross, but it's quite tasty. But this turned out really nice.
So, what's coming up? No idea. Nothing. As usual. I don't know. I've got this, I said earlier at the beginning of this video that I have this hankering I want to go someplace. Just a day trip or something. Maybe down to a place east of us called Prince Edward County. If the weather's nice, it's beautiful to go down there. Maybe have lunch on a patio, something like that. You hear the hesitation in my voice, given everything else I've said. But just like the piggies at the trough that I talked about, Piggy in the trough here is trying to get out as well. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the week brings. Anyways, I hope the week brings good times for you. I hope you're well. I hope you're getting those vaccines. And I hope you're not being foolish. And you know what I mean by that. And we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye for now. Click.